It's not every day that an anime comes out that genuinely sticks with me. Over the past few years, anime became something that I wanted to consume as much of and in as little time as possible. This has caused me to finish an abundant amount of series. I had my fun from them, sure, but if I may be honest, as much as I list them down, I definitely didn't remember most of them, since there are not many that offer something that is genuinely unique, that genuinely touched my soul. So when I finished the first episode of this wonderful show, I did something that I don't usually do when watching anime anymore. I paused. A lot happened in that one episode, and all that happened hit me hard in the gut. And when it happened, I felt overwhelmed with awe and wonder. I was hooked immediately. My heart had immersed itself from that single episode. For once, finally for once in a long time, I didn't want to binge a series. For once, I wanted to watch it properly. It's not every day that an anime comes out that genuinely touches my heart and soul. So when it does, I really need to talk about how special it is. To Your Eternity is one of the most beautiful gems that has come from the anime world in the past couple of years. If you don't believe me yet, I'll tell you this much. I don't cry with anime often, and I have seen plenty of notorious cry-worthy ones that failed to shed a tear in my eye, as much as I would have liked to cry over some. Of the hundreds of anime that I've seen, there have only been 5 that have made me successfully cry, but now that number is 6. After all, the story came from the same great mind as the mangaka of A Silent Voice. So if you want a deep emotional story of the highest quality, look no less. Fushi, our main character, is a being of light that slowly transforms into an individual filled with feelings and abilities unlike any other. He can regenerate and always come back to life, no matter how terribly wounded. Hence his name, meaning immortal. With that in mind, it's no wonder that the central themes that revolve around this beautiful piece of work are all about life, death, and spirituality in some form or another. Life and death are both tragic and beautiful, dark yet hopeful. There is no destination for Fushi's travels, only the wonders of his journey. All the people he meets, all the things he experiences and learns, all coming together into forming his identity, being that his growth is much more prominent in the episodes after every completed arc. This process is not quick, however. It takes Fushi an extremely long time to be able to go from rock to animal to human, and that is just in form. It takes him much longer to learn all the aspects of humanity as well, such as learning how to eat, to hunt, read and write, cook, and so many more. To Your Eternity is not the first anime that had a main character that had to learn to be a fully functioning human being. Another noteworthy example would be Dororo. But even if not fully unique, this kind of character is extremely difficult to write, much less successfully. So I wholeheartedly give major kudos to this anime pulling it off so well. To aid in his growth, Fushi meets all sorts of colorful characters along the way that aid him and help him to become who he is. From March, a child who became the mother he needed, teaching him to survive. Pyoran, the elderly lady with high spirit, sense of humor, and personality that stayed by his side, teaching him how to read and speak. Gugu, who became his elder brother, someone he could lean on and learn from so much for so long. Those and more show just how much we really need one another to not only survive, but learn and grow. It shows how much the people around us help create the individuals we all become. Fushi becomes a part of them as they become a part of him. All their happiness and pain, he feels it all. One character, however, was unique from these, the one that only Fushi could see, who gave him life, the Beholder, or as I like to call him, the Shinigami. from his seeming abilities relating to the control of life and death. He created Fushi with a purpose, that being, according to him, to preserve the world. Not a lot is known about him, but next to Fushi, he is one of the most interesting characters from the story since he's one of the only few that is not human. He aids Fushi, but doesn't interfere, like some sort of godlike being. His existence greater expands on the wonder and mystique of the world of To Your Eternity, and so does the character that is introduced alongside him, the Knockers, who want to destroy Fushi and the world around him. Every good story needs conflict, and the Knockers are the perfect antagonist for Fushi, since it's the only being capable of killing him. But how does one kill that of which is immortal? Is something that you could be asking yourselves right now. The answer to this is actually quite philosophical and a resonating theme within To Your Eternity: memory. The power of memory is not a new theme in the world of storytelling, but it's absolutely an underrated one. I remember that the first time I watched Spirited Away, Zeniba, the Good Witch, gave Shihiro a hint that would help her remember how she met Haku for the first time. Who you become as an individual is a collection of all the knowledge and experience that you have absorbed, retained, and valued throughout the years. And even if your physical body dies, you will live on in the minds and hearts of those who remember you. The Knockers can absorb parts of Fushi. If they were able to absorb everything, all the forms and experiences he acquired until now, Fushi, as he has grown to become, would die. It, as the ball of light has started as, can't be destroyed. But everything else absolutely can be taken away. The interesting thing about this is that even though Fushi is not quite a normal human, considering that his death is extremely difficult, he still can die. And the way he does is exactly the same as a human being, proving as well that immortality doesn't mean invincibility or invulnerable. In fact, up until the end of the anime, Fushi is as weak as a child, regardless of his ability to constantly regenerate. He is as pure and innocent as one, incapable of killing and having a lack of fighting skills. All positive qualities depending on perspective, but ultimately not so grand when it comes to protecting himself and others. But all of this just serves in showing how humane he really is, for it is nothing but natural to grow so slowly. By the end of the anime, he had lived for 14 years, and matured just as much, so there is no blame in his character. His innocence is normal, and that is quite a wonderful thing to be. So even though it's slow, Fushi still grows, especially in episodes that come after arcs, after the loss of something precious. Memory is not the only link that the story has with life and death. There is a fascinating thematic of spirituality, the soul, and the afterlife overall in the show. Whenever we see a main character die, their spirit is transported into a reality where their dreams come true, symbolizing a sort of heaven or inner peace of the soul. What is also interesting is that in a few rare scenes, both Fushi and the beholder have done something to indicate spiritual sensitivity or abilities to take life or have their bodies used by a spirit. There are a plethora of other smaller themes that can be found in the first season of this anime alone. Toxic positivity is something experienced by two characters who are desperately trying to mentally escape a horrible situation or to protect themselves and others with good intentions. The boy from the snow who is terribly alone and trying to escape his situation, and Parona who tries to keep Marge as unafraid and safe as possible, even in horrible situations. even if it's not normal to do so, because this is what was done for her when she was March's age. The idea of humanity being naturally evil is expressed in the nature of everyone who lives in the island of the last arc. People who were first and foremost living freely together ended up growing a greed for power and control, leading to excessive violence and murder. This greed even brought a scene where people tried to consume Fushi, thinking that they would acquire his immortality that way. In the same arc, the theme of purity of a child only existing before the age of 7 is presented. I did a small search for this after finishing the show and found an idea that matches up with it quite well. This is being called the theta state, which is a natural hypnotic state that all children under 7 grow up with. It's a stage of programming that forms the essence of the core of the being of the person in the future. So, if a child is born and raised in cruelty and violence for the first 7 years, that's who they will become deep down. This theme is presented while the main outsider character of that arc explains to Fushi why she is the way she is and why she wants to prioritize the saving of children younger than 7, because they still have a chance to be programmed to be the best kinds of human beings. To Your Eternity is a tragic yet beautifully and strongly emotional anime that shows both the light and the darkest sides of the world and humanity. It is beautiful and tragic, hopeful yet grim. It is, in my opinion, a great representation on the importance of the smaller things in life. It tells the viewer that life is to learn, experience, suffer, and love. A lot of really bad, cruel things happen to the people in the show who really don't deserve it, but they survive. They become stronger and thrive all the more for it. They continue to live the best they can, trying to laugh and make jokes along the way with the good things that do happen, or ease the burdens of their pain. They keep going forward, no matter what. And from all these wonderful characters, Fushi grows and learns, just like we all do from all those around us that we equally admire and love. I loved this anime. I cried twice while watching it because of how deeply I connected to the emotions and situations of the characters. If you haven't seen it yet, please, I urge you to give it a watch, and I hope you like it as much as I do. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to support me, please interact with this video, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of those things really help with the algorithm. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful evening. See you later, cousins. TTFN.